Hello and welcome to episode 93 of MMO Weekly. But as always, by Chitty's Cheesesteaks. I'm Manzo, joined by MMO writer Christian DeBlock. Christian, thanks so much for taking the time, man.
Thanks for having me, man. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, same here. Obviously, huge series win capped off with Francisco Lindor home run in the ninth to break up a hitter. Started off a huge ninth inning for the Mets, who now still remain a game up on the Braves. As of now, the teams the three teams three of Mets, Braves, Padres, all off tonight too, so there's going to be no movement. But obviously, huge series win here. Francisco Lindor continues to be an MVP, starting pitching as usual to that. But just want to get your reactions here from this series win in Toronto here.
Yeah, at this stage of the season, every series is critical. The Blue Jays gave us some help over the weekend, taking a win on Saturday against Atlanta, and then proved to be a difficult opponent this week. Pitched pretty well. But to the Mets' credit, they battled, especially in the series finale. And, of course, the most important player on the Mets came through in the biggest moment, probably the season to date. And against one of the hottest pitchers, by the way, hit a huge home run in the ninth inning. So probably a series that the Mets, wish that it wasn't as difficult as it was. But Blue Jays, having a difficult season, still playing good baseball down the stretch. Mets found a way, and at this stage of the season, if you can win every series, that's the biggest thing. So thankfully the Mets did that, and they should be feeling good about themselves going into Philly.
Yeah, and like you said, they probably wish it was easier going into Toronto, but teams like that look to play spoiler now. So the Mets have to understand, just step up as they can. You can't play down to you, and I think they may have done that a little bit. Kind of series win is a series win. When scuffling a little bit the last couple week or later or so, but really, obviously yesterday they turned it on. Continues to defense. Obviously, seems to be the captain and the heart of the team. I just don't know what else this guy can really do to win him MVP or anything, because if it wasn't for him, nowhere near where they are right now.
I think he's the MVP. It's hard to argue against Ohtani, especially when you consider he's probably going to wind up having 50 home runs and 50 stolen bases. But there's something about playing defense at a premium position and being a leader of a team that's gone on a remarkable run. And he's also the vocal leader in the media. So, I mean, you could say so many different good things about Lindor, and it's hard to tell anyone why he isn't the MVP, because it's just how the definition is. He's doing it on the field, off the field. He is a blessing for every Mets fan. Too many times he has put this team on his back this year, and he deserves the MVP.
Yeah. Hopefully continue in September. It's probably the only way he'll really be able to win it, and the Mets are gonna have to make the playoffs too, so I'll have to keep doing that. I'm a Philly after this, but it feels like in general, it's gonna come down to going to Atlanta, that second last series of the year. I'm sure that's just how it has to be. That's want to make the postseason. They got to vanquish the Braves, but yeah, really hard for it, and great pitching again. I want to talk a little about McGill and Peterson. I'll kind of let you do that. But just again, more solid starting pitch. Guys stepping up. Pete having a tremendous year. Want to get your thoughts on what continues to be more and more Mets regularly pitching into the seventh inning here.
Yeah, I mean, Tyler McGill to start has kind of come out of nowhere to help this pennant race. Really strong start in Chicago. He's did it again this week against Toronto. It's pretty impressive what he's done because, again, for most of the season, it's been come up from AAA, not so good, go back down, try to make some adjustments, but really nothing came of it. And now it seems like he's found something. He's been more in control of his counts. He's been more aggressive in the zone. So I've been very impressed by McGill in recent weeks. Peterson's been one of the stories of the season for us, I think. Again, a guy who has been up and down throughout his career. He's had some good moments, not so good moments, but I mean, he's fantastic this season. I know this week wasn't great for him against Toronto, but I mean, at some point he was going to have a blip, and now the question will be, can he refine it again in his next start? And that's going to be a critical one.
Sure.
So I'm very impressed by those two. Of course, Manaea has been another name that sets early in the season. He was dealing with the walks,
Sure.
inability to get into the 6th or 7th inning, and now he's just a regular in the 7th inning. So the Mets would not be where they are without Manaea in particular, because they were at points where who knows what you were going to get from the starting pitching, and now you have a guy they can rely on every 5th day to get you, 7 strong innings, keep the team in the game. So Manaea has been fantastic on top of what you've provided from Peterson, and of course recently with McGill.
Yeah, so right. Francis is into the 8th inning, or excuse me, 9th inning with the no hitter, and obviously that gets a lot of fan. Again, pitches into like you said, 3 hits and one. Like the walks were up a bit yesterday. So they had four of them. Had a problem at the beginning of the year. We haven't done. Last couple of months still struck guys. Seems to still be very confident with this stuff, like you said. So it's really interesting to see. Peterson was due for a clicker or whatever you want to say. So I agree there. I think Miguel, obviously the last couple of starts here now is really making the most of it until he can ask for it. Couple all that with Severino pitch balls he had. They had to be up really nicely for September. I think I saw some of the Mets out of the attending teams do the hardest remaining schedule. I forget as far as what metric it to, but they are number one. So if you're going to want to make postseason, you're going to have to play well against some of these teams. The Braves obviously in first place in the division, played well the last couple of months. So that's a series that you think you could hopefully win there. And the Braves are the Braves. They have a great year, but we know how the Mets are when they go there. Like I said before, pretty fitting that the season's probably going to count to that. But they are set up well here, which is that they have obviously they mentioned they're going to shutting rotation a little bit here in the next series, but still should be set up nice here to make a run into October and make a postseason spot.
Yeah, I think this is the Mets' best chance of facing this Braves team when you consider all the injuries they've had. You can go through the list. Acuna, Austin Riley's missing at the moment. Ozzy Albies has missed time. Spencer Strider's not available. They still have weapons, as we know. Chris Sale is having an unreal season. Max Fried is he's going to be a difficult matchup for the Mets.
Sure.
And of course, as you mentioned, this is a place and a team that's caused problems for the Mets late in the year in recent memory. So we saw these two teams battle it out in 22 for a division title. The Mets didn't get it that year. This will obviously be for just a wild card spot, but I think it's just as important. And if the Mets were to get them at any best time per se, I think it's right now, given how injured Atlanta is at the moment.
Yeah. No, absolutely. We'll see what happens, but I agree there. And one I wanted to just kind of touch on here from this series was obviously Alvarez things off in the 9th inning yesterday, big home run. Been struggled late. No if it's health, whatever else. But Mendoza had talked pre-game as far starting Alvarez in a day game or night game, day game after a night game, I should say. They would start Torrens in that spot, but felt like had good at bats the last few days and was coming out of it. And obviously that paid off. I got to give him a lot of credit there. Just kind of want to get your thoughts on that. And I feel like we're not talking about it enough, but it's probably going to be the manager of the year in the league, which is obviously Lindor getting all the way with the MVP, which he obviously should. But this is a rookie manager. I think really not a lot of expectations for, and I don't know if knew about him within the sport if you weren't New York, but just got to give Mendoza credit as far as not only sticking to the script as far as using analytics and that, but all using his eye, his feel, and obviously it's paid off well here.
Yeah, I think he's done an unreal job, and to think that this team was 11 games under 500, and yeah, Lindor is going to get a lot of the headlines as to why this team has turned it around, but calming presence in the dugout for Mendoza at that point in May was prevalent then. It's still the same. And I think there's been so many different examples this year where, maybe he's taken some risks and it hasn't worked out, but
Sure.
a lot of the time he's taken risks and it's paid off. And again, this week, a perfect example with Alvarez, who, could wind up being a huge X factor down the stretch, whether or not they make the playoffs, because we know what his bat is capable of to go along with his defense and his leadership as a catcher. I thought that was a great decision. It obviously paid off with a huge home run against a difficult pitcher from Toronto. So yeah, I think that's just another example of why Mendoza, to me, is the favorite to win Manager of the Year of the National League, because I mean the Mets a few months ago looked like a team that was going to lose 90 plus games, and now they could very well make the playoffs. And I think he is a huge reason why.
Yeah, huge part of it. Give Herons both a lot of credit. Obviously, steadied the ship. No panic. You said when they're at a point at the end of May, like 11 games under 500. Shuff putting Lindor in, not making that change. Obviously, huge change season. So a lot of credit. Seems to really listen to his players. Players seem to really like he has to say. It seems to has all the answers. Post game really protects his players, but kind of keeps it how, which I like. It takes accountability, which is great. So really about as good of a start you could hope the Stearns and Mendoza as an era and that relationship as you could get here.
Yeah, it's been a great season, all things considered. This was again supposed to be a year where the Mets were in a transition, and to think that on September 12th the Mets are in a playoff hunt, I think we're all very appreciative of that. But yeah, Mendoza has been, I mean, everything we would have asked for in year one of this new era of the Mets.
Yeah, absolutely. They got a chance to win 90 games. I think if you would have told anybody that in April or the end of May, they were crazy. But one of the best second half will do that for you. So credit to them. But real quick, talking about a lot of positives. Alonso sacked fly yesterday to bring in the run. Obviously, really hasn't turned on at all this year.
Mm-hmm.
A good September, and if they make the playoffs, a good can bring his stock right back up. I'm just wondering, feeling if you think Alonso could maybe you talked about Alvarez being out there. I feel like if Alonso can really get the last couple of weeks, that makes really a tremendous threat. I just kind of want to get your thoughts on, Alonso here shaping up for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think again another huge X factor for them. We know what he's capable of. He's done it for us for years now. This is an elite power bat in the middle of the order who usually is very effective in big scoring chances. This year has been completely different. How much of him being a contract year has played a role in that? It's hard to tell. I think a lot of us would say it's played a huge factor on him. But I mean, not only for the Mets, but for him going into this free agency, he needs a big couple weeks just to show the rest of the league what he's made of in a huge playoff push. So Alvarez is a big X factor. Alonso certainly one. I would argue Brandon Nimmo also another name just because of what he did towards the end of the first half, right near the All-Star break. I mean, we were lobbying for him to be an All-Star, and ever since it's kind of been a difficult stretch. So I think if you're looking for X factors, specifically offensively, I think the three would be Alvarez, Alonso, and definitely Brandon Nimmo as well.
Yeah, absolutely, and they have to. If not all those guys, two of those guys, one guys, because obviously McNeil being out there for the year really hurts the offense. He was having second half. I feel kind of flying under the radar with the first half that really has really come around. The last couple of months of the year. From the sec found that power stroke. So somebody pick up that slack because McNeil certainly with the struggle in Nimmo really kind of heated and took the pressure off him. I would say.
Yeah, I mean McNeil's turnaround was unexpected. I would say it was a lot of frustration for him in the first half. I mean, there were many points where fans were asking for Jose Iglesias every single day, and to his credit, he stuck with it, and the power stroke too was a pleasant surprise for us. A lot of power, aggressive early in counts. So yeah, McNeil quietly a huge loss, not only because of his bat, but also his versatility defensively, just what he can give you second base, playing the corners. So yeah, it was definitely a big blow to see him go. And hopefully he could be available if the Mets make a run in postseason.
Yeah, right. Sanga, you just hope if they get in, that the time frame works out, that you could come back. And what kind of roles, you don't know, but just to have him available would obviously be huge help no matter what for them.
Yeah, Sanga, I think a lot of people forget that he's, a piece of this mix, and he's made one start this year and looked fantastic against the Braves. So whether it's, as a starter or, potentially an opener in the final week,
Yep.
he has the stuff that could cause problems for whether they're facing the Braves, maybe the Brewers in that final weekend.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, this is so tight of a race that I think potentially getting him for 2 to 3 innings could make the difference in winning a game that gets them over the line. So hopefully he can make his way back just in time.
That's a great point, right? Even if it's for a couple innings, that could be really the key season. So hopefully, like you said, hopefully come back at some point, them, whether it's in the end of the regular season or postseason, if they make it. It's really interesting. Same thing with Miguel if it lines up that. But this year these Mets are like the Goonies. They never say die. So we should really keep them to pick up the slack and do what they got to do because they're doing really well now.
Yeah, I mean, every single time you think this team's done, they find a way to bring you back in. So I don't expect anything less over the next 2 weeks. And many will say they have the toughest schedule remaining, but honestly, this is what you want. You want to have these big postseason-like games going into a playoff chase because it'll probably prepare you pretty well. So I don't have any concerns about them backing down, particularly in Philly and Atlanta. It's going to be a fun watch the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. You're going to be a fun couple. We'll wrap it up there. Obviously, catch up with everybody after the Phillies, how that goes. So hopefully the Mets, like you said, continue this run through the month. Thank you so much for coming on. As always, everybody, let's go Mets.
Let's go Mets.